Hey everybody, Madeline here to talk about the year ahead. Because if you pull, what I like to do is I like to pull the chart to the minute that the transit happens, because it's kind of like pulling a birth chart on a person. That minute that the transit happens is the birth chart of that transit, and it tells you a lot about what to expect in that transit and what that cycle is going to be about. So let's go ahead and show you the chart. So we are looking at the sun the minute it turns into 0 degrees Aries. So that whole whatever's happening with the astrology in that minute is an indicator of what's ahead. So I will give you my analysis. So we have all these planets in combustion. We have Mercury in combustion, Venus in combustion, and Saturn in combustion. Sometimes we don't really use the outer planets for combustion, but we could if we wanted to here, because that actually would make Neptune in cazimi, which means that's actually pretty powerful, because when a planet is 1 degree away from the sun, it's actually really fortified by the sun and creates really powerful blessings. So this is a good thing right there. Now, the challenging thing, though, is that for the year ahead, we're going to have these three planets in combustion: Mercury, Venus, and the Sun. And Saturn, what that means is they're within 13 degrees, 15, 13 degrees of the sun. Some people believe it's 15 degrees. Some people say combustion is only 6 degrees. But on the whole, it is at least 15 degrees away from the sun. It starts to get, the planet itself starts to be outshined by the sun. So it's a little weaker and doesn't have as much impact in those houses of our charts are undergoing a quiet time, shall we say, a time of purification, because when they meet in Cazimi, they become reborn. So all these planets are going to start new synodic cycles this year. Now, what that means is we're purifying our motives and we're rebirthing those planets, and it's basically the with 6 houses in our charts. That's a lot of houses. That's the Mercury houses, your Virgo, Gemini, your Venus, Libra, Taurus houses, and then your Saturn, Capricorn, and Aquarius houses. So that's a lot going on in our lives right now that's completely rebirthing and resetting. Now, the other thing to consider is the fact that this is a 9 year. It's 2025 makes a 9. So we're ending karmic cycles. So, so I'll clarify this. So the other thing to really look at is that we have the South Node in Virgo opposing all of this, which you see it's opposing the Mercury and the Venus, and these guys being in retrograde is another important thing to look at. So what's happening with this South Node Virgo opposite the Sun and all these planets, except for Saturn, is we're letting go of the old ways that we function, the old ways that we thought, the old beliefs we had, the old ways that we operated, that created karmic problems, because before all of this we were clearing karma when all these planets were in Pisces, which is basically ending cycles of we're surrendering and, shall we say, stopping our patterning. Because what happens with karma, some people don't believe in karma, but whatever you want to call it, cycles, patterns in our lives that we are choosing by our own choices, by our own action, repeating negative cycles in our life that don't create the outcome that we desire. So what happens when you get to Pisces, you surrender. You've already learned that these ways of operating in these cycles that you're repeating in your life, you don't want them anymore. So you're surrendering, you're letting go of control with that South Node in Virgo. It's usually control issues that cause karma. So we're releasing these controlling issues. And then with these two planets in retrograde, we're reevaluating the choices that we made. We're reevaluating who we love, what we want, what's been this cycle of patterns in these areas of our life that have caused confusion and not the results that we truly desire. But also, above all, what do we truly desire with Venus in retrograde by the sun, Kazimi? Oh, there's that thumbs up thing. That's what this blue screen is. It's like a reactive screen. Anyway, um, and then with Saturn there in combustion, it's going to cazimi with the sun, where it becomes very purified and very blessed and very powerful. But for right now, during this year, because this sets the tone for the year, it's a year of reevaluating, letting go of control, right? Clearing our karmic, surrendering, and then becoming purified in our ways of communication and what we really desire. And this is also about money. Venus is not just about relationships, it's about business partnerships, agreements, contracts we've made with Mercury right there even. So now we're looking at, well, we made cycles, we made these choices in relationships and in our Mercury, which is about perceptions, communication, beliefs that sent us into karmic cycles that we're now ready to release. So what now? We're purifying that energy with the sun, and each one of these are going to kazemi, which means it's purified. And we're letting go of old patterns and cycles, surrendering, no longer wanting to repeat certain cycles. So now we become reconnected with what we truly desire, shifting the way we've operated in communication and in agreements. And now we're able to do Saturn and commit and be devoted to something from a purer place, not from a place that creates cycles of karma. And then we've got Mars squaring Chiron throughout this year. And don't forget, Mars rules these Aries planets. So we're healing the inner wounding and the issues that caused us to create these these choices or threw us into these we made these choices of relationships and Mercury communications and all of that through a wounded place, which we're healing, because if you operate from that wounded place, it creates cycle of karma. It creates the karma. So basically this year we're releasing, we're becoming familiar and aware of our patternings in and reflecting, because those are planets are retrograde, in our not so in our choices that did not bring us what we truly desire, that did not create the results that we were intending, or just not aware that these behaviors were creating results that we don't like. So now we're becoming more aware of that. So this is going to be an interesting year. I'll sum it up. We're letting go of the control issues that were based in woundings that caused us to devote and commit to things that were not in alignment with what we truly desire, because we were coming from a place of control and we were coming from a wounded center. All of that's going to change. So that's going to be an interesting year. Now, those six houses that these planets in combustion are going to cause a lot of lessons learned in this reflection. So in other words, this year is reflecting on those lessons learned. And so we may not have a strong handle on the, shall we say, the new way to go with this, but we are going to be devoted and committed to the new thing that we see, that we gain clarity around in this combustion. So this is going to be an interesting year. We're purging and ending karmic cycles, patterns, ways of choosing things, and choices that we make that throw us into situations that do not create the results that we want. We're surrendering, which means we're letting go of those kinds of choices, and so that we don't keep repeating them. And we're healing the wounded source of what causes us to make cycles of choices that create negative experiences in our life. So I hope that is clear. It's a lot to explain, but it'll be a very good year, though, even though the planets are in combustion. Why will it be a good year? Well, because I forgot to mention that Mars is trining all of this. I forgot to mention that. See, Mars is trining the well, actually, Mars is trining Saturn through all of this. And the moon, don't forget the moon. I wasn't talking about the moon. This very much indicates that this is a very, very positive experience. And we slowly start to gain more faith in these areas in our life, because the moon is in Sagittarius, which is inspired what is it? Inspired actions, having faith again and taking action around it, and emotional. So this is a very strong emotional energy for the year. So something is very fortified and in faith in our emotional center. So that kind of, the moon rules a Cancer, the Mars is in Cancer. So we've got this nice trine going on, plus we've got this kite. So the challenges are in this healing and in the weakness of these planets. But we're not supposed to take bold actions. We are if it is in alignment and we feel the clarity and we have connected. You can tell that this is different. It's a new way of making a choice. It's a different way of operating in these areas of our life. So we're making shifts in how we or what we how we operate in these areas, which is going to manifest much more positive results. So on the whole, it's a decent year. It's an okay year, despite the fact that these planets are combust. All right, I hope that was helpful. Namaste.